Welcome back, folks. Long time no see, but patch 1.6 is available on the common test server, and with every new patch, there are new hidden vehicles added to the main directory files, but they're not available for the public yet. So let's do what we usually do. Let's take a sneak peek. So for this video, we'll take a look at the AE Phase 1. It's a Tier 9 special reward tank for the Frontline game mode after you reach Prestige 10 for playing about 1,000,000 hours in Frontlines. So this is the final reward. It is Tier 9 and it's a fascinating vehicle because it has 4 tracks. Segmented 4-track system. So obviously it's a fictitious paper tank. So turn up the video quality to 1080p and you can read the historical stuff, but it's a paper tank. So after you remove 2 of the tracks, you can actually still drive this thing, but the devs have confirmed that if you get 1 track blown off, this vehicle will stop. So it's similar to the Object 279 early, also known as the 726, that once you get 1 of the tracks blown off, you get stuck. So nothing special there, but this vehicle is a special Tier 9 reward that has the large repair kit refill. So out of the 3 consumable slots, you'll get a free large repair kit, so basically a 10% bonus to your repair speed, as well as repairing all the damage modules together simultaneously. It automatically refills, so it gives you 20,000 credits per battle basically. So that is pretty nice, and it's actually a premium Tier 9 reward vehicle. So unlike the T55A, the Object 260, the Object 907, or the 279 early, it's a premium Tier 9. That is nice. It's like a super preferential matchmaking Tier 8, if you will, but it's at Tier 9. So it's a premium Tier 9, man. They did not mention this. There's only one other vehicle that's like this, and it's the Object 777 version number 2, which they also changed to have a special status as a premium Tier 10 or premium Tier 9 as well, but they renamed the Object 777 version number 2 to version 2C, and this thing is also a premium Tier 10 with more credits per battle. So I originally thought this was the final reward for reaching Prestige 10 on Frontlines. Thank God it's not, because this thing is way more fancy looking, obviously. But there's also the Tier 9 version of the 777, so it's also a premium status Tier 9 as well. So okay, but I do prefer this vehicle over the 777 because Russian bias and all that. So this thing has crew of 4. It fits the M103, the T110E5, or the T32, which basically it's a premium reward tank. So it's like a crew trainer as well as premium tank. So it trains your American heavy tank crews like the T29 pretty well, other than the radio operator. But alright, has a 120mm gun, basically the same gun that's on the M103 or the T110E5. Has high explosive anti-tank shell for the gold rounds, and high explosive 400 alpha standard. DPM is okay. This is only for like 100% crew, but basically the commander will give 5% more to the loader, so technically it's about 2,300 DPM, which is not bad for heavy. And it goes up to about 2,500, 2,550, 2,600 or so with the rammer, with vents, with emergency arms, so not a bad DPM. View range, 390, so it's about the same as the M103, nothing to complain about. I should go down this list, not this list. Alright, so penetration, still pretty good. I mean, standard gun for a Tier 10, but it's on a Tier 9, so standard pen, whatever. Reloads every about 9.8 seconds with a rammer. Okay, that's fine. Gun traverse speed is actually quite quick for heavy. 33.4 degrees per second. That's close to a fat medium. That's pretty decent. 10 degrees gun depression. Utilize the turret armor pretty well, as well as the sloped upper hull. so that's also very nice. 15 degrees of elevation, could be better, but that's the same as the M103 with 2 more degrees of gun depression, so fair trade. 2.4 seconds of aim time is okay. It's not bad, it's not good, but you do put a vertical stabilizer on this thing, so not as dramatic. 0.36 accuracy, fair. I mean, it's not good, it's not bad, so it's fine actually. And DPM is actually average, but still pretty decent. So firepower is generally okay. And here is the survivability of this heavy tank. So health is below average, 1800. It could be better by 100 more, or about 200 more, but it's American, so technically it's not as thick as an E75 or a STI for that matter, but okay, it's still okay-ish, I guess, but I would use a little bit more health, but then again, this thing needs some weakness. So we'll take a look at the Armour model right now. So for the Armour, it's 120 sloped at the upper plate, 88 for the sides, and terrible for the rear. 38 is garbage. Obviously, it's standard. It's like 1 inch thick, right? 38 is like 1 inch or something. I don't know. Turret front is 292, but that's only on the Mantlet. So very small area of 292. On the cheek, it's 215 to 290. So I'll turn on the actual heat map or some of the thermal map. So it's very fancy. Got a new mod. It shows me all the Armour models and profiles. So for the upper plate, I'm using a 120mm gun that has 200mm of pen. So basically, penetrating the upper plate takes about 215mm of pen for AP shells. For APCR, obviously, it's more effective because less normalization for the shells, and even more effective against high explosive anti-tank. So there you go. But then again, high explosive anti-tank has about 300mm of pen, so unless they shoot the cheeks, something like right here, it will still pen in the lower plate. Obviously, the lower plate is the weak spot. It's about 215, but then again, vehicles like tier 8 mediums will have a hard time penetrating. For some of the tier 8 mediums, like the T32-2, T34-2, T32 also has a trouble with the freaking gun penetration of the 105. Yeah, there are some tanks at tier 8 that won't pen the upper plate or the lower plate, so it's okay, but once you gun depress fully, it's very effective. So upper plate is not bad. Cheeks are like the Object 430, so it's very trollish. It's sloped backwards into a rhombus shape, so don't shoot the cheeks, it will likely bounce. Ooh, about 260 effective. There's a driver hatch, it's 50mm, very well sloped, so it's like a S-tank in terms of the sloping, so that won't pen. Shoot the cheeks, don't even think about it. It's about 400mm effective, even against AP shells. Holy crap. Yeah, you're not gonna penetrate that thing. What about the Mantlet? There's some weak spots in the Mantlet, but very small weak spots. Very close to the gun, but I wouldn't put money on it, so yeesh. Yeah, it's very, very small areas. You might get lucky between the gun and the Mantlet, but it's unlikely. Also, the cupola is not as tumorous as a T110E5 or a 59 Patton or a AMX30B, so it's relatively small. It is well sloped, 127mm, giving you about 220mm effective. Shooting at the sides of the cupola will bounce, so this cupola is like a smaller version of a T95's cupola, and it's not as weak as a M103's cupola. So frontally, the whole Armour is okay for American because upper plate is actually decent, whereas the upper plate on stuff like the T29 or the T32 is actually somewhat weak. Then again, M103 has a decent upper plate, so alright. Side armor is obviously garbage. Don't even think about it. Don't shoot the turret front at the sides. It's sloped, it's 215mm, so you won't likely pen. Shoot the back in the bristle rack, so this is where the ammo rack is likely located, as well as the engine but side armor is only 88. There are some areas next to the electrical drive bulge for the turret. So this bulge is for the turret ring, and that's what drives the turret. But it has areas of 152 millimeters. So sometimes when you side scrape, you do bounce a few shots with about 240, 230-ish millimeters effective. So you could side scrape, but then again you have a lot of tracks, and you have a large repair kit for free, so it takes less time to repair it. Rear armor is obviously garbage. Don't even think about it. It's 50 for the turret and 38 for the hull rear, so high explosive. So overall, for an American heavy tank, it's still pretty decent. And I want to mention that this cupola is okay. It's not that good, but it's not that bad. It's not an M103 in terms of if you hit the cupola, you will pin. So taking a look at the M103 with the upgraded turret, and you will see that once you hit the cupola, it's about 105 millimeters effective. Whereas on the AE Phase 1, it's about 230. So yeah, the cupola is not as tumorous, it's not as big, and not as weak. So it's better than M103. And it has more gun depression to hide the cupola. But then again, you can just shoot the hull. So hull armor is about the same as the M103 in some areas. And lower plate is 130. Oof. Oh, some areas. Oh, it's 200 millimeters. Oh yeah, it's about the same as the M103. But this thing has one thing better than the M103, and that is it's faster. The AE Phase 1 is actually faster than the M103, but I'll show you the T95 cupola just for funsies. So here's the T95. Here's the cupola on the T95. And as you can see, it's a small cupola. It's pretty thick, 152. It's sloped backwards, giving you about 220 millimeters effective. If you miss, it's auto bounce. And there are periscopes in front of the cupola. So sometimes the space armor cupola periscopes will eat the shot. It actually negates all the damage. You get trolled. So it's actually about the same as a T95 cupola, if you think about it that way. And that's pretty good. So it's a premium too. Alright, mobility wise, it has a 900 horsepower engine, weighs about 56 tons. Horsepower per ton ratio is 16. It's actually not bad. It's not bad. You can actually ram a few vehicles with this, but then again, the top speed is only 35, so that's oof. If it's 45 or 40 at least, it will be a lot better, but 35 is rough. But then again, some of the heavier tanks like the M103 is not that fast as well, so give or take. Here is the terrain resistance. It's not displayed in game, but I'll show you off screen. It's 1.15 for hard, 1.24 for medium, and 2.301 for soft. So it's average for hard terrain resistance, above average for medium, and below average for soft. It's okay. I mean, technically, it's better than the Sherman Jumbo, if you think about it that way. So hull traverse is about 31.3 degrees per second. So I took a look at other tanks and think about which vehicles are close to this tank in terms of mobility. And I can tell you that the IS has less top speed, less horsepower per ton ratio, and worse terrain resistance. That's the IS. It's a fast heavy tank if you played it. Also the Sherman Jumbo. Also the Sherman Revalorisé. So if you ever played those tanks, this thing is actually faster than all of them. Granted, it's still heavy, but it still has the M103's armor, and the cupola is not as weak. It does come with premium tank status, as well as a large repair kit, as well as being, crew transferable. That is pretty nuts. That is very good. So camo rating, yeah, it's a heavy tank, doesn't have camo, don't expect it to. And view range is 390. So that's okay, that's not bad, like 370, 380, but it's not good, like the Conqueror's 400, so it could be better, but it's average. and standard radio range. So if I haven't shown you guys the original stats, here it is now again, but it has originally 2000 DPM and garbage accuracy and somewhat below average aim time. So yeah, they changed it. They obviously buffed it. So right now, I think it is pretty worthwhile. You have to consider that this is a tier 9 premium. It makes more credits as a vehicle at tier 9. That's never been done before. So here is a comparison with all tier 9 heavy tanks that utilize a basic haul down attack pattern, if you will. So these vehicles have generally pretty strong turrets, somewhat strong hull armor, but somewhat slow other than the mill, and they utilize gun depression rather than a bulky force like the Moishian or like the E75s or VK4502P OSB, like those, or the Object 705, if you will. But this thing has actually the best gun traverse, similar to the M103 and the Conqueror, but it reloads faster than the M103 or the Conqueror, has better DPM than most of those guys other than the MIL2, because the MIL2 has freaking autoloader. It has pretty good DPM, surprisingly. Health is not as much as other heavy tanks, so it is below average, but the hull armor, as you can see, or as you already saw, is pretty actually reliable. It is sloped, and only the lower plate is the only weak spot. The cupola is actually pretty decent, in my honest opinion. So out of all these stats, this tank could use some more health and use some more top speed, because top speed is only 35. I mean, it's close to the other heavy tanks. It's not as fast as a STI or AMX M4 or even the Emil or the 777, but I mean, it's close. Let me see the T10 for the comparison. T10 is a fast heavy tank compared to the STI, but I don't think it has that much more horsepower per ton ratio than the AE Phase 1. So select top configuration, and we can see that with the T10, it has only 14.75 horsepower per ton. I'll pull up the T10's terrain resistance off screen right now. So where's the T10? Let me take a quick closer look. Yeah, it has about the same mobility because it has better horsepower per ton ratio, but not as good terrain resistance. So technically, the revving up speed is basically the same as a T10. The only downside is the T10 has 50 kilometers per hour top speed, whereas this thing has only 35. So that's why you don't feel as fast in this vehicle, but it does rev up the same speed as the T10. Now, there is a hidden stat that you might want to consider, and that is this vehicle will have a 20% chance to catch on fire if it gets shot in the engine. So that's below average, because the average is about 15% chance or 12. So kind of iffy on that part, but okay. So in general, this thing is a fast heavy tank, even though it doesn't have the top speed to catch up to the T10 or to something like the MIL2, but it is still pretty quick to shift and traverse. It does have 40 rounds, so it's not as limited as the 32 rounds on the M103, and in general, in comparison, I would say this thing is about 9.5 out of 10. It's a premium tier 9 with a free large repair kit each and every battle that gives you 10% bonus to repair speed. But then again, you could just give the money in terms of credit wise, but it's a tier 9 premium, so I presume this thing would make a lot more money than a tier 8 premium, because usually tier 6 premiums don't make as much money as tier 8 premiums, right? That's how the stuff works. When you get a tier 3 premium, it doesn't make as much money as a tier 8 premium, logically. So, yeah, it's a 9.5 out of 10. Granted, if this thing has the cupola of a 430U that is basically impenetrable, I would give it 10 out of 10. or if it has a super upper plate that would never be penned, like the 279, it's a 10 out of 10. But I would still give it 9.5 out of 10. So what the hell is the 430U? So you can see the 430U. It's freaking broken. So you already know the 430U. You already know the cupola is basically impenetrable. It's like 250 millimeters effective, rounded. Yeah. It's a fucking meme. So it's, I mean, granted, it's not a 430U by all means, but it's at tier 9. It's a premium. So overall, yeah, I think this is worth it. Playing Frontlines for about billions of hours this year, like 10 weeks, roughly, of Frontlines. Yeah. Let's say if it's 200 hours per week and it's 10 weeks, holy shit, it's 2,000 hours. Jesus Christ. So basically you squash face with this vehicle. So there you go, folks. The AE Phase 1, the Prestige 10 American Heavy Tank at tier 9 for the final reward for Frontlines. I think it's a muy bueno of a tank. It's muy excelente. So there you go, folks. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.
To those awful engines roar. You